Greetings and welcome to TFT Tarot for today. Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee. This is me, Oberon, with Goth Tarot. And it's my weekly exploration into shadow issues in our lives, the things that make us sad or the things that make us ponder. And we start off the month with a particular spotlight, and then the recurrent weeks through the month may check back in with our progress there or expand on it or possibly work with other shadow issues of our lives. So I'll get to that shortly. We're going to start off with an opening card for the collective from the Hecatean, the Order of the Hecatean Path. And it's by Ken Payne and Chris Butler. It's a really cool deck. I like to use it for the opening collective here. And it's Pandateria, Teria, all giver, abundance. Sounds like it's a root of Pandora, possibly. So what is that? Number 23. Let's take a look at that. Pandateria, all giver, abundance. Hecate was called upon in all aspects of life, including the welfare of crops, livestock, and the fisherman's catch. Her ability to give life and promote abundance is parallel to many Earth Mother figures such as Gaia, Demeter, and Rhea, but for all she can give, she can also withhold or take away. Do not expect to receive. Be gracious and avoid greed. The goddess provides, but she scolds the grasping and materialistic who seek to fill their voids with her bounty. I think that's a pretty good start for us this week. All right, we'll just leave that card there for the moment. So as I mentioned, we had a major beginning in our shadow work by working with the concept of protective shells. So I wanted to review something because we made a good point. Here we go. And there it is, protective shells. I kindly and gently listen to myself. And we basically explored the concept that the protective shells kind of block our chakras, and our chakras help regulate our energies and our ability to embrace or respond or heal. So obviously not good. We mentioned in last week and the first week that there might be additional chakra work. So last week we did the heart chakra. This week, later, we will focus on the root chakra. And to quote from the book, when we block our root chakra, when you're afraid of the outside world, your sacral chakra, oh, that's the next concept. So we want to look at the concept of what can be done with that to maybe understand what's happening to it and then find a cure. We're going to use another deck for that, the Deadly Apothecary. So we'll get to that in a minute. Now we're going to update our shadow work from last week. I want to find out, oh, you don't belong there. how it's all proceeding, the work with protective shells. I'm going to use the ethereal. That's the back, the shadow work tarot. It's the 5 cups. I think I need to get rid of that filter. I still don't like that. So in the 5 of Cups reversed, we do feel that we're still on this journey of recovery. We realize we must work with the elements of the chakras and how they are affected by this protective shell. Um, but a lot of this time right now is realizing that maybe we also have to learn a bit about self-forgiveness, and self-forgiveness would be important in our chakra work, especially the work in the heart or the root or maybe any of the areas. So that's what we have for our update, is maybe we are coming to terms and we can work on forgiving ourselves. A lot of progress would no doubt be made with that. All right. So now we're going to explore some other shadow work. We're going to explore the dark avatar. What is the dark avatar we project? What is a dark avatar? Well, the avatar is kind of like an image or personification of ourselves, and we can use one to mask our shadows. That maybe the shadow finds a refuge in this projection, and then we sort of externalize the shadow, and we're not really learning to embrace what that shadow's doing to us. Whether it is, the idea of the protective shells, and I think it could be in this instance. But to find out then what is the idea that dark avatar that we're using to kind of be a proxy for what we're allowing our shadow to do or to do to us. I'm going to use the Lost Soul Oracle. Can't see the back. And I specifically only use the Major Arcana and all of the court cards, 16 of them. The basic reason is that I like the deck a lot, but the pips are really plain, and I don't feel resonance towards them in terms of the shadow avatar that we're looking for. But with the other cards, I think I do. So I want to use those. And so this idea of the dark avatar, this could represent a persona or extension of ourselves, and we use it to avoid dealing specifically with the shadow. We sort of use it to be the proxy for the shadow. If I'm not explaining that very well, you might want to review previous episodes where I did. It's usually the third week of the month where I talk about the dark avatar. All right, well, here we go then. And our dark avatar is the reverse Knight of Cups. And with that, the reverse Knight of Cups, maybe the reason that's the dark avatar is because we kind of use that as this foil for why we don't have love in our lives, or why we are okay with letting love or relationships or good sentimentality move away from us rather than towards us. The Knight of Cups is in denial about his emotional nature, and that maybe they decide that there's a shell around that, the emotional chakra, the heart chakra. So it's kind of interesting. That might have been more in line with last week's work. But it is what it is. It's still here present, even if we're working on a different chakra this week. This is a big part of the dark avatar and how it may even convince yourself, because you're just into portraying that and you're not really understanding what the real relationship could be, which is you're just in denial about, seeing yourself as an emotional being capable of loving or being loved. And you sort of feel like you're beyond that and you're just doing the grim work. I may add in some other thoughts below when I do the edit on this. But okay, so that was the dark avatar. So that dark avatar may or may not also lead us into some other ventures, specifically what I might call, I think I'll leave you over here for now, the dark trick. And the dark trick are, whether it's part of the avatar or more likely just our regular selves, are things we do that maybe express trickery or deceit or distraction. And so if a person, is trying to figure out what's bugging us, what's our shadow, we might find that there are ways we can deceive them. And this would tell us what that is that we're doing. And perhaps in recognizing that we have this tendency to express this way, then maybe we can start stopping that. We can stop that. We can basically not hide behind the avatar or the trick we're playing or trying to play. So what is the dark trick? I'm using the Joker Tarot, by the way. And it's another reverse card. It's the reversed Ace of Wands. things are delayed. We're working on it, but we're not able to really move this forward right now. So maybe we're using certain cycles that maybe it's the business cycle or maybe it's any particular cycle, but we're saying we're not able to pull ahead right now. We're finding that we're not organized enough. Some of that's true, but it's probably in the way that we're presenting it that makes it the dark trick. And so we may be, using excuses that are beyond ourselves. We're pointing to the externals, basically. That's a big part of this because this is about networking. This is about entrepreneurship, business, enterprise of sorts. And so when we do that, we're only tricking ourselves because we're admitting that we're not really about business. We're not allowing ourselves to figure out business, or we're being uh, less serious about it than we might need to be. So that's our dark trick from the Joker Tarot. And so finally now, before we move to the chakra work, uh, we're going to look at what it is that possibly can reconcile those things, those avatars and tricks, with the idea of the healing that we need to work on. And remember that in terms of our update, we still feel we need that. We need to keep working on recovery, yet somehow, of course, these other little side issues are showing up. I mean, it's possible that what the avatar and the joke is telling us isn't connected to the protective shells. It could be something else that's going on. It could be another part of ourselves that we're not ready to embrace and reconcile with, that we're letting it dominate us. So I'm using the murder of crows to represent what it is that could be the dark horizon. The dark horizon is how we can own those qualities there, the idea of feeling unfeeling, impervious to love or emotional attentions, and also the idea that maybe we want to blame things on some external factors. I mean, it really does sound like basic shadow work in a way. Um, but let's see what the murder of crows can tell us here. What is the dark horizon? Oh, I love it. One of the reasons, and I'm a little sniffly, something's irritating my nose. I'm sorry about that if that's gross, but um, one of the reasons I like to use the multiple decks is because I do like to see the possibility of the same card from a different deck appearing in the reading. And so it is, we have, once again, the Knight of Cups from the Murder of Crows Tarot. However, this Knight of Cups is upright. And so this could be saying that there's a good use for our avatar, but we should embrace it for what it really wants us to do, which is open up our hearts, especially that heart chakra that we should be working on. Um, Review last week's, the end of the episode for that. It was a nice little bit of work there. Maybe you can get something from it. We're going to do it again today, though, for another chakra. So that in a moment. I think we have to learn and we have to keep moving towards being a brighter self. That this particular chakra is kind of numbing us. That's maybe what that one is about. And that allows us to maybe blame it on other things. It's the typical story of shadow work in a way, I suppose, or the idea of being in denial of certain things. But by learning that others really do want to help us, not everybody, but that there could be somebody for you that will help you moving towards that, the embrace of lighter bits of yourself. That's what we need to do. So good luck with that, everybody. And with that, I'm going to move on to the next phase I wanted to cover, which would be working with the root chakra. And the root chakra, of course, is the most basic one, the lowest one. And if that one doesn't work right, none of them work right. That's where the major blockage could actually be coming from because of the protective shells that we're allowing to block those chakras. So for this, I'm going to use the Deadly Apothecary Oracle. And I used this last week for the heart chakra. And the idea is this, I would like this to tell us more specifically what kind of behaviors, things are poisoning or are contraindicated for that chakra. And then to also give us the antidote. It's a great little oracle deck. The Deadly Apothecary Oracle. Ah, how interesting. It's cannabis. Y'all just need to toke up some more. But obviously there could be something corrosive about cannabis. It is subtitled The Healer. Keywords. Healing and dreamlike. In ritual settings, it can be smoked to produce prophetic visions and receive messages from the spirit realm. When used inappropriately, it will cause paranoia and demotivation. The poison. The disempowered. The disempowered. Cannabis is easily overwhelmed and suspicious of everyone, the mindset of which is partly because they have a habit of playing the victim. They are stuck in childhood wounds and tend to overreact to many things, citing a painful past. Prone to self-pity and asking, why me? Cannabis believes the world owes them a living. They give their power away by too often identifying with their human ego and forget what they are, a limitless, shining spirit. Whoa! So the antidote. Cannabis has the potential to become a powerful healer once they have completed their shadow work. But for now, they are stuck in habitual responses like a recording on repeat. They can do the following things with intention, which will start the healing process. Shine a light on all the yucky stuff, such as the shadows, so they may be brought to the surface to be healed. Stop defining themselves by their past and release the wounds from childhood, and understand that they and they alone are responsible for their life. These processes will release cannabis from feeling overwhelmed and usher them into a new way of being as a healer. Well, I'm not so sure I can agree with all of that, but a lot of that did kind of ring true in a way. Um, some of those kind of effects on the user without sufficient grounding are noted, paranoia especially. Who hasn't been there? Okay, a little bit. But in general, I guess I like that. I think what that is really saying is be cautious with what you do and when you do it. That, if you're using it to mask that pain, then you're just continuing to block the root chakra. I'm just going to have to say it as simple as that. So anything that has a potential healing effect, but also a harmful effect, needs to be considered in moderation, especially when you're involved in shadow work. All right, so it's time to close then. My goodness, it's time to close. So we're going to end with the closing meditation and affirmation from The Earth and Bone by Syrian Shadow. I want to thank you all for being here today. I hope you're getting something out of this work. I'd be delighted if you could let me know. Either write us at our Gmail, tfttarotfortoday@gmail.com, or you can also leave a comment on the video. And reminding us of the major work begun in the month, Protective Shells, and our update, the Five of Cups, suggests that we're still in process with this. We are still very much in process with it, but all systems are working on it, realizing, hopefully, you got to take it as slowly as you possibly can. We are remembering that our opening meditation was from the order of the Hecatean path, Pentataria, the all-giver, and that to give all means that sometimes some of that could be suspect, and that it can go away just as easily, perhaps. We discussed our dark avatar, the reverse Knight of Cups, and realized that rather, ultimately, in the end, the dark horizon, we need to reconcile what we're looking for in love. Alrighty, so here we go. Earth and Bone. Oops. Fate. Oops, wrong one. Cycles, alignment, decisive moments, opportunistic events. And that is a very dark card. It looks like a figure in the darkness. Before you act, be sure you're in alignment. What exactly does that imply? It means allowing life to flow through you by behaving as the receiver and then taking action based on that receptive frequency. You receive in silence and stillness. Meditation is vital in any spiritual journey for learning how to listen to the messages or opportunities you are being sent. You'll know when something is in your soul's alignment, when you expand or feel excitement. It's something that lights you up. It's something that makes total sense, like a no-brainer. When you are presented with an opportunity that is aligned for you will not need to persuade or convince yourself that it is right. It simply is. You can think and declare to yourself that something is wrong when they try to impose their thoughts and beliefs on you that are out of sync with your heart and soul. You don't have to say it aloud, and you may avoid any conflict by telling yourself that what they think isn't suitable for you. Anyone who tries to impose their ideas, thoughts, or beliefs on you that are incompatible with your life should be released. By telling yourself this, you can deny them any fortune and create self-worth, affirmation. What is right for me will find me. I am open and receptive. I release what is not for me with love, and I remain true to myself. All right, everybody, so that's it for Goth Tarot for this week. I want to thank you again. I'll remind you also that tomorrow, Thursday, we will have another live stream episode. We'll answer your questions. Friday will be the emotional exchanges at Friday morning at 7 o'clock. Saturday, happy hour returns. It's been off for about a week, so that'll be back on its normal hour of 10 o'clock a.m. And all these times are Eastern Standard Time. Banshee show is on Sunday mornings, Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. The Material Matters. And then we're live again next Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week.